When the House of Representatives returns to Washington next week from recess that they're on this week, they're going to be staring down two government funding deadlines, one on March the 1st, the other March the 8th. And given the reality being that the House and the Senate combined have yet to pass a single fiscal year 2024 spending bill. The House has passed some, but the Senate hasn't. So between the two of them, nothing. So what can we expect before that first deadline of March 1st approaches? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Congressman Robert Aderholt, who serves on the House Appropriations Committee, and he represents the 4th Congressional District of Alabama. Congressman Aderholt, always great to see you. Welcome back to Washington Watch.
Well, Jody, it's good to be with you, and thanks for having me on this afternoon.
Well, it's always an honor to have you. Listen, before we jump into this, just if you can give us a 30,000-foot perspective, your overall assessment of what you anticipate in the spending negotiations when you come back.
Well, you correctly sort of summed up what's going on. We'll come back. As right now, we're scheduled to come back next Wednesday, and we will have all of these bills that will be still sitting on our plate because, as you so rightly said, the House and Senate have failed to pass any of the appropriation bills under completion, and even more so, we have a March 1st deadline for the appropriation bills: military construction, the agricultural subcommittee appropriation, the energy and water, and then the transportation. Those four bills are going to expire March 1st. And as you well know, we are approaching March 1st very quickly. And we are, at this point, do not have our ducks in a row to pass those four appropriation bills. And if we do not, then we will have a shutdown on March 1st. Now, obviously, there's a lot of pros and cons and a lot of things that can be said, whether maybe we should just shut down the government. But obviously, if we can avoid shutting down the government, I personally think it's best, just because you do have a lot of unintended consequences. Also, the administration is in charge of when we shut down, they're in charge then, and they can make it very painful on Americans to say, look at what the Republicans are doing, and they're wanting to shut down the government, and so they will make it as painful as possible. So if we can avoid this. But at the same time, Jody, as you know, you've been there, we've served together many years, and you know how it is. We're trying to get as many wins as possible. And we have a very close majority in the House, closer than I think you ever had when you were serving with us in the House. We are 2 votes in the majority right now, and it is so difficult to try to get our Republicans all on the same page. And furthermore, it's been very difficult to try to certainly get the Democrats to go along with us. And so, therefore, they're sitting back and not wanting us to pass the appropriation bills. And because they want to get everything they want, we're just asking for something. We're in the majority. And if we could just get a few wins, I understand. I think most Republicans understand that with a 2-seat majority, we're not going to get everything that we want, but at least we need to get something. And that's really the crossroads we're at right now. You know Mike Johnson as well as I do. We both served with him. He is a true conservative. He's someone who wants to do the right thing. And, I want to do everything I can to back him up as we go forward in these negotiations.
Well, there's no doubt these are very difficult circumstances to work in. And yeah, the majority was never that thin. When I was there, it was thin, but never down to 2. As I understand it, Congressman Aderholt, as I look at this, there's basically 3 primary options. You have the government shutdown, but beyond that, there could be a short-term funding bill. There could be a CR, a continuing resolution for the entire year that would cut 1% spending, or there could maybe be some other compromise package that a number on our side of the aisle probably would be frustrated with. Are there any other options out there that are legitimate?
No, what you've summed it up quite well, and quite honestly, if we could get a uh, some time, I'm talking, another week or so for some negotiations, and we could get some resolution to some of these issues. I could support a CR. I mean, a CR is not an ideal situation, and I don't want to make a lot of the fact that we'll just pass another CR because we've passed a lot of them. But if I knew that we could get some wins, especially on these social issues, and I know you and I, of course, we served on the VAT team as co-chairs when you were in the House, and as I know you feel like I do, we've got to get some wins on these family value issues. And if we could get some of those, I can vote for another CR if I know that there is a win in sight. But it's going to be very difficult for members of the Republican caucus to vote for another CR if we're just kicking the can down the road and we get there and there is no wins at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Well, if I can switch topics for you, we've only got a couple of minutes left here. I wish we could go on with more of this because you are such a wealth of information and a leader on appropriations. But switching topics, this month we've had on the program a missionary from Nicaragua to discuss the oppression that Christian pastors are facing in that country. And you are leading a congressional effort to help these pastors. Quickly tell us about that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I'm so glad you had the pastor on there. I met him back during the week of the National Prayer Breakfast. He came up to me and introduced himself. We have a mutual friend here in Alabama, and he got us in touch with each other. And basically, I know that you've heard the reports, and a lot of your listeners have, but they were just conducting Nicaragua, and the government had panicked when that many people came out to I guess what you would call a service where they were preaching the gospel. I see you've got on the screen there, you see how many people were there. A lot of healing took place, and they have put in jail a lot of these pastors. They have kicked a lot of the American missionaries out of the country.
Tell us quickly about your letter. We've only got about 30 seconds.
Yes.
Tell us about your letter.
Yeah,
30 seconds.
The letter that we are sending out to the ambassador from Nicaragua to the United States, and telling him how disappointed we are in this. I've lost count of how many members we have got signed on, but we've got several on the Senate to sign it, bipartisan, bicameral, to say this is unacceptable, that this should not happen, and Americans are very upset at what's going on, and we are hopefully get this attention and get these pastors released.
Congressman Robert Aderholt from Alabama, thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you for coming on Washington Watch, and our prayers are with you and all of Congress as you return. Thanks for joining us.